Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Here today we're going to take a look at John D. Rockefeller and find out why he was known as the most hated billionaire in history. Let's begin. John D. Rockefeller was born on July 8, 1839, in a small farmhouse in the town of Richford, Tioga County, New York. He was born to a poor family and had humble beginnings. His parents were immigrants from England and Scotland. When he was 2 years old, the family moved to a farm in the town of Licking, Ohio. His father, William Rockefeller, worked as a traveling salesman and was rarely present, while his mother, Eliza, a devout Baptist, handled the chores and upbringing of their children. She stressed the importance of honesty, hard work, and piety, instilling values that would have a profound impact on John's future. As a young boy, Rockefeller exhibited remarkable industriousness and attention to detail. After finishing primary school, he got his first job at the age of 13 as a clerk for a produce commission firm in Cleveland, Ohio. By age 16, he earned his first raise, working 10 hours a day for $1.50 a week. Despite living in poverty, Rockefeller managed to save a portion of his income. These early experiences instilled in him a strong work ethic and financial prudence that would serve him well throughout his life. In 1853, he saved enough money to partner with his friend Maurice Clark, a tanner, and purchase a modest property together. Their friendship, however, eventually deteriorated due to financial disagreements, and Rockefeller quickly withdrew from the partnership. By age 21, he married Laura Spelman in 1864 and embarked on a journey to Houston with his friend Samuel Andrews, aiming to establish an importing business. Unfortunately, the venture proved unsuccessful, leading them to return to Cleveland in debt. Despite facing financial challenges, Rockefeller's determination remained steadfast. He took on various jobs, including night watchman at a Cleveland dock, allowing him to pay off his debts and accumulate some savings. In 1861, an opportunity arose when his former employer, Clark, offered him a chance to invest in a refinery in Cleveland. Seeing an opportunity for growth, Rockefeller decided to accept the offer and invest all his savings. His decision paid off, and within 3 years, their refinery generated a profit of $40,000, equivalent to roughly $1 million today. Realizing the potential of the oil industry, Rockefeller continued investing heavily in refining and transportation. By 1866, he partnered with Henry Morrison Flagler, a successful businessman, and Andrew to form a new company, Rockefeller, Andrews and Flagler. Their operation focused on supplying oil to various industries, including oil lamp mantles, kerosene, and lubricating oils. To maintain tight control over their operations, the partners established their own rail line. Despite enjoying considerable success, conflicts arose between the partners, prompting Flagler to sell his stake in the business to pursue other ventures. In 1870, Rockefeller entered into a partnership with Henry de Forest, a skilled chemist who assisted him in developing new products and processes. However, disputes also emerged between Rockefeller and de Forest regarding expansion plans. Eventually, Rockefeller purchased de Forest's shares in the company, consolidating majority ownership. At the same time, a disagreement with Andrews over the handling of waste products resulted in the dissolution of their partnership. Following the split, Andrews formed his own refinery. Determined to eliminate competition and secure greater control over the supply chain, Rockefeller devised a plan to expand his empire. He negotiated deals with railroad companies, securing exclusive discounts on transportation rates, thus reducing production costs. Simultaneously, he engaged in a strategy of undercutting prices to drive competitors out of business. As smaller refiners struggled to compete with Rockefeller's low prices, he acquired their businesses at favorable terms, gradually accumulating significant wealth. By 1882, Rockefeller's empire encompassed 90% of the nation's oil production and refining capacity, making it the largest private company in the world. Although he faced accusations of monopolistic practices, his empire thrived, generating substantial profits year after year. During the late 19th century, Standard Oil Company dominated the petroleum industry in the United States. Its sheer size and influence caused alarm among policymakers who believed that such extensive control over an essential resource was detrimental to economic freedom and fair competition. In 1911, the United States Supreme Court intervened. The landmark ruling in the Standard Oil case aimed to address the growing concern regarding unchecked monopolies. The court recognized that Standard Oil had indeed violated the Sherman Antitrust Act by engaging in anti-competitive practices that hindered free market principles. As a result, the court ordered the dissolution of the Standard Oil Company. This decision marked a significant moment in American history, setting precedents for antitrust law and corporate regulation. The breakup of Standard Oil served as a pivotal moment in curbing unchecked monopolistic behavior and promoting a more competitive business environment in the United States. Throughout his life, Rockefeller displayed a keen awareness of his public image and sought to cultivate a positive perception of himself among the populace. However, despite his efforts, his reputation remained tarnished by the prevailing belief that he had amassed his wealth by exploiting others. This widespread sentiment significantly contributed to the animosity directed towards him. Many saw him as a symbol of greed and corruption, believing that his wealth came at the expense of workers' rights and fair business practices. The notion that he had unfairly stifled competition and manipulated markets further fueled the negative perception of him. Moreover, Rockefeller's lavish lifestyle and opulent mansions symbolized his immense wealth, which only exacerbated envy and resentment among the general public. Furthermore, the rise of muckrakers, investigative journalists who exposed social and economic issues, had a profound impact on shaping public opinion of him. Their writings portrayed him as a ruthless businessman who cared little for the suffering of others. The emergence of political cartoons depicting him as an octopus or a monster solidified his image as a villain in the minds of the masses. As a result, the widespread belief in Rockefeller's ruthless business practices and exploitative wealth accumulation solidified his reputation as one of the most hated billionaires of his time. Although Rockefeller's wealth had grown substantially, he was deeply aware of the negative perception surrounding him and recognized the need to shift public opinion. To address this, he initiated a series of philanthropic endeavors aimed at improving his public image. One of his most notable acts of philanthropy was the establishment of the University of Chicago in 1901. The university quickly gained prominence as a prestigious institution of higher learning. In addition to higher education, Rockefeller also focused on improving healthcare accessibility. He made significant contributions to eradicate diseases such as hookworm and yellow fever, as well as fund medical research and institutions. Through these efforts, he demonstrated his commitment to public health and alleviating human suffering. Moreover, Rockefeller's philanthropic endeavors extended to supporting libraries and museums, further enhancing his reputation as a benefactor of the arts and knowledge. His contributions to cultural institutions played a vital role in enriching communities and promoting cultural appreciation. By investing in libraries, museums, and art centers, Rockefeller sought to foster intellectual growth and provide access to cultural resources for the public. Through his generous donations, he enabled the construction of state-of-the-art facilities and supported educational programs that inspired creativity and critical thinking. These acts of philanthropy aimed to counter the negative perceptions of him as a ruthless businessman and portrayed him as a visionary committed to improving society. By investing in education, healthcare, and cultural institutions, Rockefeller sought to demonstrate his commitment to making a positive impact on the world and leaving a lasting legacy. At the twilight of his life, Rockefeller found himself reflecting on his journey from a humble beginning to becoming one of the wealthiest individuals of his time. As he looked back on his extraordinary life, he grappled with the complex legacy he had left behind. Despite achieving unprecedented success in business, Rockefeller was acutely aware of the controversies that had defined his career. The public perception of him as a ruthless monopolist and the criticism surrounding his business practices weighed heavily on his mind. On one hand, he had revolutionized the oil industry through innovative methods and expanded markets, creating vast wealth for himself and others. However, he also knew that his relentless pursuit of profit had come at a cost. The underhanded tactics, the stifling of competition, and the exploitation of workers had earned him the ire of many. As he entered his later years, Rockefeller began to grapple with the ethical implications of his actions. He realized that while he had achieved extraordinary financial success, it had come at the expense of his reputation and the trust of the public. In an effort to redeem himself, Rockefeller embarked on a series of philanthropic endeavors. He donated vast sums of money to establish universities, hospitals, and museums, hoping to make a positive impact on society and alleviate some of the suffering he had caused. However, despite his efforts to atone for his past, the damage to his reputation was deep and enduring. The public perception of him as a greedy and manipulative businessman persisted, overshadowing his philanthropic efforts. In the twilight of his life, Rockefeller was left with a sense of melancholy. He had achieved great success, but it was tainted by the knowledge that he had fallen short of ethical standards. The hatred and mistrust he had encountered throughout his career continued to haunt him, even as he approached his mortal end. For Rockefeller, the final years of his life were a period of introspection and regret. He came to understand that the relentless pursuit of wealth and power had taken a heavy toll on his soul. He yearned for acceptance and forgiveness, but it seemed that the hatred directed towards him was too deeply ingrained to be erased. In conclusion, John D. Rockefeller remains a controversial figure in history. While he made significant contributions to the development of the oil industry and pioneered business practices that shaped modern capitalism, his ruthless tactics and monopolistic practices earned him widespread animosity. Throughout his life, he faced accusations of exploiting workers, stifling competition, and amassing wealth through underhanded means. The public perception of him as a ruthless monopolist and the criticism surrounding his business practices continue to tarnish his legacy. Despite his attempts at redemption through philanthropy, the damage to his reputation remains enduring. In the twilight of his life, Rockefeller was burdened by the weight of his past actions and the hatred he had encountered. He yearned for acceptance, but the relentless pursuit of wealth and power had taken a heavy toll on his soul. In the annals of history, Rockefeller's name is synonymous with greed and corruption, cementing his status as one of the most hated billionaires of his time. If you want to uncover more forgotten stories of money, power, and the billionaires who shaped our world, then don't just watch. Join us. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and step inside the billionaire glitch, where every fortune hides a secret.